Hi, my name is Matt Widgery from mattwidgery.com. Today I'm going to be sharing with you what my experiences were shooting my very first ever wedding. It's thrilling, terrifying, exhilarating, all in one go. I adored it, and I'm really looking forward to doing my next one. I've already got another one booked for a couple of months' time, and I'm absolutely psyched about that. But I wanted to go through some of the kind of things that I learned through doing the first one that I would probably want to impart to other people that may be thinking about doing their first wedding as well, just in the hope that they might sort of take some something from that. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was doing the group shots. These images that are up on screen now, I think I've just picked out one actually from the group shots. They didn't want very many. It's just this one here. So they were very keen not to keep guests waiting around and sort of have that. They sort of were of the opinion that they'd been to a lot of weddings in the past themselves where they'd been sort of kept waiting around a lot while there were a lot of photos being taken. I sort of tried to. They said they wanted to do the whole thing. They wanted three photos, one just of them, one with immediate family, which is about 14 people, and then a group shot of everybody, which is the one you see on screen now. It's like 130 people. So that's the picture that's up there now. Now the challenge was they wanted all three pictures done in about 15 minutes before they then moved on to the next venue. So it was quite stressful because I had to, for the first two shots, I had to be kind of down in the chapel area. Then I had to move all my gear, or I had some gear kind of stashed up at this was taken from a kind of upper level where the organ was in the church, shooting down. So I was down in the middle of the. I was down in here to take the first ones. They were standing on the altar there, and I was sort of sat down in the middle here with the camera, and then I had to sort of take everything and chuck it upstairs, and then I had flashes set up to take this, but then sort of firing down firing flash down onto people below there, and then pack up everything and then get to the next venue. So my first bit of advice would be to hold your ground. Actually, if I'd had half an hour, sort of 10 minutes per picture instead of 5 minutes per picture, I would have been a lot less stressed, I think, because obviously you want to get the best images that you can possibly get, and I think I did get very good portraits of people, but I just feel that I would have been under less pressure had I given myself that little bit of extra time in order to get those formal portraits done. So I think it's important as the photographer, you stand your ground a little bit more than I did on that occasion, and you may well find that your day goes smoother as a result. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the importance of capturing all the little sort of details and noticing all the stuff that goes around and makes up the day, because on the tables, for example, with these little photos, and there were photos of the bride and groom when they were kids and their kind of life growing up together. So it was just a really nice detail, and it's stuff like that where it just pays dividends to be really eagle-eyed. My street photography background, I think, gave me a bit of a sort of heads up there, in the sense that, as well as looking for the moments in between people, I was kind of looking at little details and how things fitted together. And I think that, one of the things that I would definitely take away from that is the importance of having a really good sense of all the little things that go into making the day unique to them, and just trying to sort of capture those. So on that note, this was the top of the wedding cake. Now, of course, you're going to take the top of the wedding cake anyway, but it was important, I think, in this instance, to get the camel and the giraffe. This is Rachel and Rick here. So that's Rachel as a giraffe and Rick as a camel. These were animals that they happen to be particularly fond of. Rick spends a lot of time in Africa and things like that, and Rachel, I think she just likes giraffes. I think there might be more of a story than that, but I can't remember it, in fairness. But this is the kind of thing that you should be sort of paying attention to, and it's definitely something for the next time around that I will be super keen on, because it's those little details when they look back at them in 20 years, 50 years time, that will make them really smart. So it's important that you grab those just those little details, and it's really fun. So that's that. Obviously, coming from a street photography and kind of, my love of candid shots, I was really keen on just finding all the little moments that were happening. And when I had the original client meeting with Rachel and Rick, they were very much they wanted that candid style, that sort of reportage style, as opposed to anything that had a lot of posed and sort of stiff looking shots in it. So if you're the type of person that wants to pick up those jobs, street photography is a brilliant background, because you kind of look around and you spot things that are going on. In this case, they had some balloons for the kids, bubbles for the kids they had these little sort of bubble kits, and of course, kid blowing bubbles, you can't really go wrong. So that's that. Next, I wanted to talk a little bit about the lighting that I used for lighting the reception, because I actually had the lights pretty static. I just had two lights. They were big studio strobes up on light stands. You can actually see there's one of them up in the corner here. This bright spot here is actually the head, the studio head, and it's firing down and backlighting people. And in this case, I'd moved round sufficiently so that I could get some nice sort of party light lens flare going on in the image here as well. That was the nice thing about these. There's a set of three of these images that I just wanted to show you that were just taken from different angles, really, but with the same light setup. So this is backlit with nice crisp rim lights, different, some soft focus or soft contrast because of the light coming in from the background, and things like that, and then some lens flare, which I particularly liked. And then you could get a totally different look just by moving around. This is, on the I was stood over here before, and just moving around to this angle, you've got more of like a half light going on, and just creates a totally different, much more contrasty effect. Which was fun, and this is the bride here, and you've got the bride and groom and the family and things like that. And then if you move around again, you can get, this is bride and groom and things again. Just by moving around from where you are with those same lights, you can get lots of different effects. So rather than having to worry about moving the light stands all the time, I actually found it was easier just to put the lights where they were, and then move myself around, and then you can get just different kinds of lighting effects. Simply by doing that. The other nice thing that I was doing with there, and I don't think I put any of the sort of just the portraits. People were asking me to sort of just grab them and take portraits of them in the middle of things as the evening went on, and I found it quite nice just to be able to, because I knew where the lights were. If they said, "Can you take a picture of me?" I'd say, "Yeah, stand about there." I knew where the lights were. I'd put them in such a place where I had a main light at an angle that I wanted and looked nice, and then use the other one that was coming from the other end of the dance floor to be a kicker. So that works out pretty nicely. And again, you can see this is another example of just the positioning of the lights not changing. In this case, I've actually just hidden the light behind this is the best man giving his speech. I've hidden it behind his head so you don't get the lens flare, and you get a bit more contrast in the image, but you can see how the light casts all these nice shadows on the wall behind and things like that. So it's just kind of using the lighting, because I didn't have an assistant or anything in there, so just kind of using the lights to take the load and actually moving around myself rather than worrying about moving the lights. You can find when nice things are happening in good light and take pictures. I mean, this looks kind of almost studio lit. That kind of is. It's a studio light, but you just wait until people do nice things by the lights that you've got set up to get the effect that you want. And again, you can play around with it and get some nice lens flare and things like this. Lens flare is something I particularly like for doing sort of events, celebration, party type images. It just kind of looks fun to me. You don't necessarily want to do this on every shot because you can't really see too much detail in people's faces. But as part of the sort of portfolio of what's going on, it works, I think. So that's that. And again, this is more of it's the same light, nothing's moved around. This is literally, they're just kind of, the light is just skimming across them more in a sort of cross light almost. This guy in profile is being lit from the front, and then you've just got this coming over the side of the guy's jawline there. And it just creates some interesting lights and shadows and things like that. And again, all night I didn't touch these lights. So all these, that and that, it's the same lights, and just, it's where people sit in them. And then the other thing to really sort of pay attention to is, just grabbing these little moments between people and trying to find the expression on people's faces. And, I just love the little kid here. And, he's this is one of the name tags, I think, from the table. And I don't know if it's his or somebody else's, but he's, showing Rachel that. And then you've got the couple in the background there who are just sort of looking on interested. So that's that. Again, obviously kids at the wedding, you want to take plenty of pictures of those, because everybody loves the pictures of the kids. They're all adorable, and this little girl was whirling around and dancing, and again, this for me was an example where the where the lens flare coming through the picture just added a little bit of extra sort of interest into the shot there, and you can sit there and kind of fire this all night, and I would really recommend doing something like this. They don't have to be big studio strobes. You could do these with small flash as well, and just put them up on light stands out of the way. One of them I hid behind a big candlestick. This was a church, this particular venue that they had for the reception, and there was a big kind of like solid candlestick, so I put one behind there so it wasn't going to get knocked over, and sandbagged it and stuff, and it was fine. Nobody knocked it over all night. And the other one was round the other side where there was like a pulpit, and I was able to actually put the candle, the light stand in the pulpit as well. So again, you just want to be aware that you don't want light stands and things like that falling over. Particularly the one that was up here, I had it extended up pretty high. The other one was quite low, so that it was just kind of catching the back of heads and shoulders and things like that. But the light that's firing up on this side is I don't know, it's probably 3 meters up, so there's a lot of weight on the top of that light stand. So just make sure that it's sandbagged and tucked away so that people don't fall into it and things like that. But I'd really recommend this. It was a very easy setup to do. It meant that I could get a variety of different looking shots without having to have an assistant, things like that. Again, just capturing little moments between people. These two weren't posed or anything like that. They were just having some sort of a conversation together, and just like the way they were posed, and had the light behind them. So again, you create these nice lens flares and things like that. So that's that. Balloons always look good for me. I like balloons and bubbles and anything like that in pictures. So yeah, just really sort of playing around with that and shadows and stuff like that. So that's that. And this is just how you can create these kind of, sort of hair lights and rim lights and things like that. Just with this was now being used. This was the main light that was in the pictures before, the big bright one. And this is now being used as a rim light, and it's being filled in from the other light on the other side. So it just gives a totally different type of effect on that. And that's it. So that's really it. So the things that I took away from that really were that the very best thing you can do is set the lights up in such a way that you don't have to move them. Be as you got to get the shots at the end of the day that you need to get, because they're paying you a lot of money to do this, and it's a memory. It's a super important thing, right? It's not like shooting a corporate event or anything like that, where frankly the world will keep turning, and if you really screw the shots up. But with a wedding, it's somebody's, it's the most important day of somebody's life. So it's absolutely necessary that you get the shots. So if it takes a little bit longer, and, I would say that you can't do necessarily 3 portraits in 15 minutes, couple shot, family shot, and then big group shot. You can, and I did, but it was very, very stressful, and I wish I'd had more time to do it. And I wish I'd had more time to, play around and do different poses with people and things like that. And yes, you have to be respectful of what people's wishes are and things like that. And obviously, they were very keen on making it a really great experience for their guests, and that's super important. But there has to be some, I think, compromise. And I probably would have, even if I'd have bargained another 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I would have benefited from that, and my photos would have benefited from that, and then ultimately they would have benefited from that as well. Because when they look at those photos in 10 years' time, nobody's going to remember that extra 10 minutes that they took to set the portraits up. So that's definitely something that I would take away from that. Other than that, the experience was a very positive one. They were pleased with the images and have written me a lovely testimonial for my website. So everything went really well from that point of view. I will do the 3rd video on this in this series about this first wedding on like the sort of setting up of my SmugMug Pro account, because I actually used that rather than my Squarespace account to put the gallery images up, and I'll go on to explain some of the features about that SmugMug gallery, which for me me won the day over just attaching a client area to my Squarespace account that I use. So I now I've got mattwidgery.com as always, but I've now got mattwidgery.gallery, which I set up for client galleries now off the back of this, and it's something that I will be using again in the future because it seems to be working very, very well, and I've already started to generate some print sales from that gallery, so that's really nice as well. So I will come onto that in a future edition. In the meantime, if you have got any questions or tips about wedding photography that you'd like to share with me and the rest of the sort of posse of people that watch these videos, please leave them in the comments below, and subscribe using the big red button that's on the screen now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.